check us out on YouTube. Look up 99.9 The Fan on YouTube. And you can smash that subscribe button. Hit the likes, leave comments, etc., etc. I actually know the topic that can get the comment section popping, Giglio. UConn. Blue blood? Question mark.
Well, just let's ask it again.
Yeah.
Who'd you rather be over the last 25 years? I'm really having a hard time getting past the whole 5 titles thing.
Yeah. You were
but
on
I
this
hear
last,
you.
You were on this last week.
I hear you on some of these other consistency tangibles.
Mm-hmm.
Conference, hey, UConn had a spell there in the American Athletic where they lost their identity. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
The last good pro from UConn, I get that too.
Mm-hmm.
5 titles, though, is 5 titles.
Look, I don't disagree with you. You were on this last week, so credit to you. You were kind of looking at this big picture going, man, you know what? UConn's out here might be doing the thing. And then when you stack that up with all the other schools that we typically talk about, like I saw somebody jokingly tweeting about this, so when's UConn getting invited to one of these Champions Classics?
So
why is Michigan State still showing up, right?
If my math is right, they have 40% more titles than Carolina and Duke.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Would you want a bank account with 40 more % money in it?
I like it like this. Are you ready for me to channel my inner Colin Cowherd?
It's a lot like Apple. Yes, please.
Hey, it reminds me a lot like Apple. Well, actually, you know what it really is? It's like the movies. It's a movie business. So this is what I like in UConn too. UConn is the summer blockbuster. It's never going to get any respect, despite the fact that it makes bank.
Oh, can't win any awards.
We will not win any awards. You'll have the old heads like Martin Scorsese looking at a Marvel movie going, "That isn't cinema." Even though you got all these name actors who are very ready to sign up and get that paycheck. So there's no respect that comes with the Marvel movies, and they can kind of cherry pick various styles. Like if I got to hear one more time about, we see the brilliance of Winter Soldier. It is Dennis, don't. Okay? Because
Winter Soldier was good.
Right, because
it was amazing.
Because it was actually a callback to, the Maltese Falcon or whatever other thrillers, spy thrillers, espionage thrillers that took place. I get all this. I got cat fluff floating here in the studio. Sorry, I had to bust out this jacket for a dumb video bit that we're doing, and apparently I got cat fluff on it. Regardless, so that's what UConn is. And Duke, North Carolina.
Turning their nose up.
They're turning their nose up because, no. Please. We do this for the prestige of the academy. That's what it is.
There are gaps in the resume, and I understand that. Missing the tournament 7 times in that 25 years is a gap on the resume.
Here's what I think is a more interesting conversation than who is a blue blood and who isn't. Because to me, I think the whole blue blood conversation is another form of gatekeeping.
Okay.
And the reason why it doesn't resonate with me is because you have to remember who I grew up rooting for as a kid in college football. Miami.
The school.
Miami is a prime example, like UConn, of being nouveau riche, new money. All right, we can see this,
and had a bunch of different coaches.
I mean, if I want to be the local Colin Cowherd, it reminds me a lot of like ITB. Okay, there is old money, and there's new money, and that old money is going to be holding on to those houses inside the Beltline. Meanwhile, the people who are actually changing the direction of this area are all the outside people coming in, right, from California and everything else. That's what's caused the housing market to skyrocket, with the new jobs coming in and people coming from other areas. But they're always going to turn your nose up because, you're new money. So the Miami Hurricanes dealt with this in the 80s and the 90s. Nobody wanted to take them seriously because they literally came out of nowhere in the 80s. Florida State dealt with this.
And had a bunch of different coaches do it, too.
And they did it, too. Florida State also dealt with this, too, but they had the respect of Bobby Bowden, who had been there forever. But Florida State was also new money. It was a women's college. And Miami actually helped Florida State get on the map by scheduling them and things like that. Here's what I find to be a more interesting conversation related to UConn and the Big East. And it's something that we've kind of danced around the last year or two as it relates to the ACC. Would you rather, knowing what we know now, if I could, Marvel movie, get the time stone, go all the way back to, 2002 timeframe, 2000 timeframe, and get in front of John Swofford and say, hey, I know what you're thinking. You want to get these Big East schools to help save the conference, and you're going to go in on football because that's where money's going. But you're going to lose your identity, and in 20-some-odd years, you're going to find out that it was a no-win situation. Would you rather be the Big East if you're the ACC? Would you rather have become a boutique basketball league the same way that the Big East is now? They know who they are. they love basketball, and they play other schools that love basketball. In a way, it's kind of like your fantasy football conference that you drafted, remember?
I'm angry.
You're angry. Like, everybody wants to piss off everybody else. That would make for a hell of a conference, man. West Virginia, NC State, ECU, everybody just banging on each other. That's the Big East to a certain extent. So would you rather be an ACC that is like the Big East and prioritizes basketball? And I know there's a lot of people out there, knowing what we know now, that would happily change what's going on with football for a more Big East priority on basketball and to have a UConn more often than not.
But where are you financially? That's the trade-off.
Same boat as the Big East is right now.
Sure.
You don't have to worry about football. You are free of football. It is a thing that you do not have to stress about. You're not in an arms race anymore.
I mean, Wake Forest and Syracuse might take that, but who else is really going to take that?
Good question. I don't know. I don't think North Carolina does. North Carolina doesn't. State doesn't.
Wouldn't want to take that. No, you want football.
So I was asked this question by Josh Graham over at WSJS. He called me earlier today, and he was workshopping this idea about Syracuse specifically. Like, what if Syracuse, who has no identity in the ACC, decides, you know what? We're kind of jealous of what UConn's been able to do, and we're going to rejoin the Big East and go independent in football, like UConn is right now. And I said, well, one, that's never going to happen because the grant of rights. He's like, okay, we'll take the grant of rights out of it. Okay, fine. I'll take the grant of rights out of it, and I still don't think they take that deal. And the biggest reason why is that Syracuse, unlike UConn, actually has football history. It's ancient history, but it's football history, all right? And they're never going to let that football history go. UConn has no football history. The greatest contribution to football from UConn is Dan Orlovsky.
I was going to say Randy Edsall ditching his team after the Fiesta Bowl.
To come back.
No, to leave the first time for his dream job.
Right, for Maryland, and then eventually he came back.
Yeah.
So, yeah, UConn doesn't have that football pedigree, and why they're never going to ultimately chase it. So, I don't think you're right. There's only a handful of schools in the ACC that would do that.
Though. You still have to function. I think Syracuse could function without the money based on what they do with their basketball, but then the Big East have to cut them back in. Mm-hmm. Is the Big East going to do that?
No.
I don't know.
Probably not. Probably not. Here's what UConn also does. It really does piss off local schools, specifically Carolina and Duke, because I saw this earlier today. Guy that I follow is a Carolina fan, and he's just pointing out, he's like, so Duke's the blue blood, but who's actually won as many championships as you have in your entirety of a program? 5 in the last 25 years. So Duke's entire program, in the entire history of Duke.
You know how I feel about Duke.
Has 5 national championships.
You know how I feel about Duke. Yes, they had success before Mike Krzyzewski.
But
a large part of their success is Mike Krzyzewski.
I agree with
They
you.
did not win a national championship before Mike Krzyzewski.
Agree. So
they had a coach leave for South Carolina.
Yeah. Well, I mean.
Okay. Or was it Clemson? It was one of the two.
Well, where did Frank McGuire go?
Michigan, maybe. Let me get it right.
I mean, North Carolina.
What did Giglio get wrong this week?
North Carolina had the same thing happen to them. I mean, that's how Dean Smith came about. So,
well, he got in trouble. Frank McGuire got in trouble.
That's right. He did get in trouble.
Bill Foster didn't get in trouble. He was just like, this job isn't that good.
Yeah, fair enough.
After going to the championship game, by the way.
That's true. So, that'll get Duke fans all in their feelings about, no, we're still the blue blood. Like, look, if you're taking
he left Duke for the South Carolina job, 79 to 80. He was the guy who preceded Mike Krzyzewski.
I did point out to some people, though, it's like, well, if you really wanted to get Duke fans riled up, you can say in head-to-head matchups, too, UConn is better than Duke because in 1999, when they won their first title, they beat Mike Krzyzewski. Jim Calhoun beat Mike Krzyzezewski twice.
I'm telling you,
1999 and then 2004 in the Final Four.
Yeah, but they have to have a championship over Duke and Kentucky, to have one over each of those blue bloods, It's a pretty powerful argument.
It is.
If you don't want to just go by the 5.
Which then gets back to my original point, which I think is a sealed, tight, very locked-in argument. UConn is the type of program that is similar to how we treat other things. There are more successful musicians that will never get the respect of the academy or critical darlings. Like, it's the classic case of everybody wanted to dunk on Nickelback, and yet Nickelback sold a ton of albums and sold out shows. Okay? So UConn's kind of in the same boat. They're never going to be the critical darling, but they can point to their championships as the success, as the thing that validates them. And people can gatekeep their status as a blue blood, because I was very much like that last week. I was very much like, nah, UConn's not it. But what are you going to say now that they've won 5 in the last 25 years? Like Seth Greenberg was on Twitter talking about is the most powerful basketball program in the last 25 years. No, they're not. They're not. They're kind of like the Marlins in a way in that if they're going to win a championship, they're going to win it.
When they get in, they're in.
They're 5-0 in championship games. 5-0. Okay? So credit to them. But I'm over the gatekeeping. Congratulations to UConn. Congratulations to Dan Hurley. That's another part of this that's really, really impressive. Comes from
Happy for him.
Incredible basketball family, obviously. Ties here with Bobby Hurley, etc. So congrats to UConn. You broke the system. You broke people's brains, and I commend you for that.